All right, welcome. This is KWI's podcast with Bobby, and today I'm joined by Dylan Lacey, who was a 2018 KWI graduate, and he came to us all the way from Rome, New York. Dylan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Dylan Lacey. I was born and raised in Rome, New York. Graduated, like Bobby said, in 2018. And just excited to talk about my story and my experience at KWI and where it's led me to today. So, yeah.
Now, talk to me real quick about Rome, New York, Dylan, because honestly, I did bounce around a lot as a kid. I've lived in Indiana, Ohio, Georgia, Texas, Colorado, but a place that I have never resided is in New York. And I'll tell a little story on myself before you get started, not to steal your thunder, but here's what little I know about New York is that my wife and I, we took the family to New York City, obviously, one of the kids to get that experience. And then on the way home, we're like, we're already in New York. Why don't we go see Niagara Falls? Like this is, that's completely, we just plugged it in and we had no idea that we were checking clear across before we could actually drive. So it was not in any way, shape, or form on our way drive home.
No,
but that's how much I know.
Out of the way.
Right.
Much out of the way. But
so take us there. What's it like?
So
Rome,
there's really only two places in New York. It's like Manhattan and the boroughs, and then, like you said, Niagara Falls. Those are really, everything else is just kind of like the Adirondacks, and most people don't really know too much about New York. But essentially, Rome, New York is literally pretty much dead smack in the middle of the state. If you look at the state as like a triangle, you're pretty much, there you go. Yep, dead smack in the middle. So, there's really not too much going on up there. There was an old Army Air Force base, but my grandfather had a small dairy farm in Holland Pat, New York. So that's where I spent the vast majority of my time as a kid growing up. When I wasn't running around riding bikes with my friends and all the rest of it, I was on my grandfather's dairy farm. So it was actually kind of nice to be able to, when I went to Kentucky, it was kind of nice to be able to feel like I was kind of at home in the same kind of temperature and climate and all the rest of it. You know, you get snow in the winters and it's hot and muggy in the summers, but there's also a lot of cattle and stuff. So it felt like home to me. So,
Yeah.
But Rome was interesting. My parents split when I was young, and I spent the vast majority of my time with my mom. And then when I was 14 years old, I moved to Sleepy Hollow, New York, which is another, I guess you could say, hot spot for Halloween and people who like Halloween. It's where the Headless Horseman was written, but that's where I grew up. So from 14 until I came to KWI, actually, that's kind of where I was at in Lower Westchester. So. Yep.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, I did not know about the dairy farm story behind. So talk to me about what it is to grow up on a dairy farm. What's that like?
Well, I can't really say that I grew up on a dairy farm, but I was there a lot of the time, like during the week, and on the weekends and stuff. And essentially, being raised by a single mom, it was like the place for me to go to keep me out of trouble. Because I had cousins. I'm the oldest of 14. So I had a lot of younger cousins. And my grandfather and my uncles gave me responsibilities around to kind of like basic stuff, you know what I mean? Like shoveling manure and putting sawdust down and kind of, you know what I mean? But a lot of the time it was just me like hanging out with my cousins and playing with my cousins and just kind of, you know what I mean? Pushing them in cow patties and hanging out. So, but it was good.
I now understand where your work ethic comes from, because a dairy farmer, hats off to those guys, the most respect. I mean, you're talking, you got to go to work twice a day, every day, 365 days. Those cows can't be not milked. You can't sleep in or have a sick day. So your papaw, if he's, giving you those characteristics, those roles, those responsibilities, and you absolutely know what it's like to get up and go to work, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I got a little taste of it at Ashley's farm as well too. So it wasn't
right.
necessarily in the dairy farm area, but I made sure that I kept my head down and continued to. One of the things that you guys have, both of you have both instilled in me, is never say no. Right. Yeah. I've always carried that with me, no matter what job it is, no matter how small or tedious it may be, whether it be welding hangers or, you know what I mean, just like fitting for somebody. It doesn't matter. Just never say no, because every dollar counts, especially when you're traveling and all the rest of it. And you never know when you could be out of work. But yeah, that kind of mentality I've always tried to carry with me
Yeah,
throughout
that's
my
good. That's
entire
good.
life. So
I think I
yeah,
picked that up in the military. The engineers essentially were, let us try. So regardless, anytime I was asked to do something by a superior, if I didn't
yeah,
know what was going on, I still said yes, and then I worked hard to try to figure that out.
yeah,
To close
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
close
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
But that's where experience, that's where the joys of life come from, is by not being intimidated and having the courage to say, send me. I'll try it.
100%. Yeah. No, I remember sitting in class when you were teaching, when in the morning in class or whatever, and I think we had finished a quiz or a test or something early, and you told us about that, and it always, for whatever reason, it always just was like my experience as a kid growing up to where I was at that present moment in time. I was like, that makes sense, right? Because you're all like, the whole point of life is to learn as much as you possibly can, right? So it's like never saying no gives you that opportunity to learn more and to be, a better employee, boss, whatever it is in life.
Right.
So
Husband,
yeah,
father, all the good stuff, right?
yeah,
I mean,
all
it's
all
gonna
the
it's gonna
things.
stretch you,
Yeah,
right? Right.
yes, yes, absolutely. So
So this the Sleepy Hollow thing that piques my interest as well. So,
yeah,
and right around that ripe age, I guess, as far as like now you're a teenager. I mean,
Mhm.
a whole game changer as far as like grew up younger around Papa on the dairy farm. Now you've
yeah,
moved to sort of a hotter city. What was that like? I mean, what kind of trouble did you get into? I guess is what I'm.
quite a bit, quite a bit. So, um, obviously, in a farming community, there's really no slack. There's always work and there's always hard work. But when it comes to the city and when it comes to, I guess you could say my father and my stepmother, things were very laxed, and uh, I partied and I did some things that I'm not proud of. Recreational drugs and things of that nature.
Sure.
So, it kind of like I had like the discipline, but I just didn't use it for anything. So after yeah, high school was just kind of like a weird time for me. Because that's kind of like when I came to Sleepy Hollows. What is it? I was 14 years old, so I think I started eighth grade. I had started
Okay.
eighth grade at Sleepy Hollow High School. So from eighth grade to my graduating year, 2009, that's where I was at. And I just caused a lot of trouble. I was just a bad kid. I didn't listen to anyone. I played a lot of hockey, which is what I loved at the
Oh
time.
yeah.
And yeah, played a lot of hockey year round. And I just didn't want to listen to anybody. I didn't have I was just a typical teenager boy. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? I
Well,
wanted to
14.
do
That's
all the things and kiss all the girls and drink all the beer and do all of it. And I did. I most certainly did, but it didn't really turn out obviously how I had hoped. So what ended up happening after high school, I don't really focus too much on high school just because it was kind of like an awkward time for me.
right.
I think it's an awkward time for a lot of us, especially if you don't have a tight group of friends, which I didn't really have. I kind of jumped between circles. Um, because obviously it's a little different. I was a class of, I think, 800, 700, 800 kids. So there was a lot of kids, and I just never really like found a group
Yeah.
of kids that I kind of connected with. So, but after high school, I was 19 years old. I never went. I was like 3 weeks away from finals at a semester at Westchester Community College, and I stopped going. I was just wasn't engaged at all. It just wasn't for me. But I was always very big into fitness. I always loved working out. Yeah, just to kind of backtrack real quick, I started having seizures.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What triggered?
So it was triggered by drinking, actually. So the first time I had ever been drunk, obviously that feeling, the dehydration, topped with everything else, right? I had my first seizure at my friend's house while we were cleaning beer cans up, and it was
Right.
not fun. So, ninth grade, yeah, it was basically just ninth grade where I would have one seizure a month, spaced out about a month apart until the medication got me under control. And then I had one because I was a stupid teenager, like I said. I had one at my senior year. So my last seizure, thank God, right,
Right.
was 2009. So, but I have been, by the grace of God, seizure free since then. But
I was going to say, let me interject here that
Yeah,
like you said, 14 and divorced, like I can relate 100%. I came from a divorced family myself.
yeah,
And kind of like you move at that awkward time. Unfortunately, we were always moving, I guess. Like I literally had the quote unquote new kid thing, down pat as far as rinse and
yeah.
repeat. Nobody ever knew, I had no memories with any of my, peers because we had lived in, town XYZ for a year or two and then moved and then a year or two and then
Yep.
moved. And so, yeah, and it's tough. It's tough to come in when the rest of those guys probably, at least in Flemingsburg, they've been to school together since kindergarten. They played on T-ball teams together. So
Absolutely.
it's tough being that outsider for sure. And so then to bounce around and try to find your peer group tends to be tough, especially at that age, 14 to 18, when everybody, it seems like, is trying to find, who they are.
100%. And everybody's established like a clique too.
Right.
It's like their group of friends that they've built over time. So yeah,
And culture is telling us to find ourselves and explore our identity. And even worse now, I think, in this age, I wouldn't trade anything as far as like, I'm glad I graduated when I graduated and not going through school nowadays. And we can talk about that later, but
yeah, couldn't agree more. But yeah, absolutely.
but still, it was a tough time. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I
yes.
think at that age, when you're trying to make your own decisions and you're kind of butting heads with mom and dad, like you're saying, I think we've all made some questionable choices, decisions, I guess, back in the day, and then live and learn. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a period of time that was necessary, right? When you look back, hindsight's always 2020, but it was definitely a test, and a testament to how strong and resilient I needed to be throughout my life that was, coming up, right? So I just look at it as like just a learning period, you know what I mean? Like this is what you should be doing and this is what you should be doing. And it's actually led me into like a lot more fruitful things now in the future. But
I like that
yeah,
you admit that you knew what right looked like, you knew what you should be doing. You just couldn't
absolutely.
master yourself, and I think that's the exact
Yeah,
definition of discipline. Is the only to be successful, the only person you really have to master is yourself.
a
And
hundred percent. Yeah,
once you conquer that, once you can kick yourself out of bed and go do what you know needs to be done,
yeah,
the world is coming right
yeah,
at you. Yeah,
yeah. So God blesses the hard work. God
that's
always blesses the hard work and the discipline first, because it takes a lot of discipline to get up out of bed, especially right now when it's starting to get cold. It's like,
yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
like that bed is nice and warm.
That's right. That's right.
honey, you look real comfortable. I think I'll, but yeah. So after my 3.5 semesters of college, I started working at a gym, and I just so, and hold on, let me back up real quick. So,
Yeah.
essentially, the seizures had led me to my gym teacher, who I did a senior project, where I kind of just followed him around and mentored him a lot. He was a big meathead, loved working out, so I was constantly following him around and lifting weights and helping him teach classes and coach classes and stuff. So the next thing that I was kind of like thinking about was like, where am I going to go from here? I know that I can't. I know I'm not going to be good in an office, right? Just from my background, from where I grew up, and like the things that I like, it just wasn't going to happen for me, right? Another 4 years of school plus finding an office job just wasn't it. So I was just like, you know what? Like, let me really like be intentional and let me really like figure out what I want to do. So I had a couple months over the summer, and again, did some more stupid stuff, hung
Sure.
out, didn't really do anything, you know what I mean? And my dad was like, time to go. Let's go. You find yourself a job, whatever it is. So I just walked into this gym like this cocky 19-year-old, you know what I mean, with my chest up, and I was like, I'm gonna be a trainer here. And they're like, okay. So they gave me the job, and it was not what I was expecting at all. The gym was called Total Form Fitness. It was a gym in Hartsdale, right on the border of Scarsdale. And yeah, so I started working there, and I didn't have a single client for an entire year.
Wow.
I cleaned the machines. I vacuumed every day. I squeegeed the windows in the front. I did everything but work with a client. Obviously, over time, um, I was able to kind of fill in for people and like, hey, finish up with my client over here. Hey, start them off, get them going, or whatever it is. So I got a lot of tough love again, and it was now that I look back on it, right? Um, it was the hard work that kind of was like, all right, this is your career, right? This is your full time job now. You're a man, right? This is what you need to do to be successful, right? Keep
Right.
your head
Right.
down, stop complaining, get to work. I was there from 6 o'clock in the morning until I think we closed the gym Monday through Thursday. We closed late, so it was like 9 o'clock by the time we were done. Friday was a little early because a lot of people cut out, so I was there until about 6, and then I was up on Saturday from 7 to 4, and I was off on Sundays. So I was grinding, and yeah, yeah,
I love that. That's that old school American ethos. I think anymore we got a
yeah,
victimhood mentality. Everybody thinks they're
yeah,
entitled. I talked to Jordan Lewis just the other day, and he same type of thing. His story was when he first got out of high school, he kept showing up to a fab shop every
yeah.
day and just helping out. They said, "We don't have any room for you. We don't need you." And he just kept showing up, and eventually
Yeah,
gave him a job.
that's
And
crazy.
now
Yeah,
they're floating business his way as he does his own thing. But kind of like you're saying, you got to have that
yeah.
persistence, right? I mean, there's a
Always,
time when
always,
you got to
always.
grind.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
while you're
I
young,
th-
that's the time to do it, to go after it, get it.
I think it doesn't. Young, old, whatever it is. Yes, right. You have to live every day as if it's like a brand new day, right? This is you don't know. You're not promised tomorrow.
Right.
Nobody's ever promised tomorrow, right? But I feel like as a man, this is just my perspective and my opinion. Some people might disagree with it, but I think that every man. I mean, we're called to work, right?
Sure.
God gave us a job for a reason, right? To subdue and cultivate, right? We were told to go out and work hard, right? Obviously we are required to and called to rest, right? But rest looks different to everybody. So
Right.
I think it's really important as a man, even though I'm sick, I was still able to get it in a little bit today, right? I did give myself a little bit of a break from the gym, right? That was my rest, right? Where I took the time to allow my body to recover and stuff. But again, you need to tuck that hat down and just keep going, no
Yeah, I
matter
love
what
it.
you do. So
So if you go back to Genesis, like you're saying, Genesis 1 and 2,
yeah,
God gave Adam work to enjoy. He
yeah,
placed him in the garden. He didn't form him in there. He put him in the garden.
yeah.
A will to obey. Hey, don't touch that tree. And a woman to love. And I think like you're talking about it, when a man gets his world in order, and you're
Mm,
absolutely right, that we are called to I'm not saying a higher purpose, and we're not unequal from women, but we should be the providers, the protectors, the priests of our families, and that's
yep.
exactly right. That's what being a godly man is all about. So
100%. Pastor Joby Martin says, provider, protector, prophet, priest, and servant king. And I have it
Joby
written on.
is a cut up. I love him. I show him at KWI.
He is. I love my pastor, Pastor Wayne Francis, out of Life Church, New York. Big shout out to him and the associate pastor who actually just had a men's retreat with him, and he let me lead. I lead a men's fitness group
That's awesome.
through the church, so we do that. But he let me lead the workout on Saturday, and then we did some cold plunge as well. So we were getting after it. But anyways, we'll save that for for later on. But yeah, man, you nailed it, right? Like you have to work, right?
Yeah,
You have to work, and it's just you're allowed to have fun too. I don't ever want to take fun away, but I mean
well, I
we're
think you
called.
should, I think you bring your passion with you, right? You don't have to
Yeah,
love every
yeah,
day your job,
absolutely,
but you should
100%.
have, especially if you're a
Yeah,
Christian like you're talking about, you got peace and joy all the time, so you can bring that with you, even if it's raining cold and sucks. You can still find some humor in that. And I love about your go to work. A lot of people want to say, well, God told us to rest, and I always go, well, look back at Exodus 20 because
mhm,
He does tell us to rest one day, but He says go to work 6. So
yeah,
are you doing that, America,
yeah.
or are you resting Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I like to use Sunday as like a setup for Monday, right?
Sure.
So I try not to use Sunday as like the day of just like,
Right.
hanging out and you know what I mean, kicking my feet up and all the rest of it. Like meal prep, make sure my clothes are clean, make sure
Oh yeah.
that like, make sure I carry around like a little 110 in the back of my car, because I got rid of the truck. But it's just like making sure everything's properly placed and ready to go. And especially in the cold months too, right? You're just setting yourself up for success
Right.
for the rest of the week. So,
And that's what successful
but
people do. You talk about meal prepping and laying your clothes out. That means that you're routinely going through a whole lot less of these smaller decisions every day, so that you can think
yeah,
about bigger ideas
yeah.
and
Who
roll your
wants to
right,
worry about cooking food on a Wednesday night because
right.
they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's dark at 5:30. I don't want to be
right.
I don't want to be cooking at 7, 8 o'clock at night,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean, when I get home. So, but yeah, yeah. So I ended up, just to circle back, I ended up working at the gym for about 4 years. I left and I moved to Long Island. Um, Dated a couple of girls in longer relationships. And then within that period of time, somebody that I was living with was like, "Hey, listen, like the personal training thing was starting to kind of like trickle away, and I actually had three. I was like working at like two jobs. I was like personal training, and then I was working at a warehouse.
Right.
It was a plumbing warehouse called supplyhouse.com. But I was just driving a forklift and doing stuff. You know what I mean? I was just
Yeah.
trying to like make ends meet. And they're like, listen, like you should really consider getting into the trades. And I thought about it. I was like, like I kind of grew. I don't know. And they were like, well, think about like what would you want to do? And I don't remember what video I saw or who it was. I don't really remember, but I was like, I'm either going to be a carpenter or I'm going to be a welder, right? Because for whatever reason, I don't know why I said carpenter first. I don't know why it wasn't just welding right away. But anyway, long story short, I went to um, it was the adult education program that I got fully sponsored for at a community college. So I went through the quote unquote welding program
Right.
there. And it was like 6 months. And again, kind of like very similar to Jordan. What I ended up doing before I graduated was I ended up driving around this industrial park. And I was like, hey, like, I've got some welding experience. Like, would you be interested? And this one guy was like, come in on a Sunday morning. And I was like, okay. Like, and he was the owner of the shop, right? So I was just
Right.
like, all right, like I was a little nervous, right? Obviously the owner, he's always working, but I showed up and I was like, okay. He's like, go and set your machine up. I was like, okay. It's this old Miller, huge, couldn't even tell you. I don't even remember where the power was on this thing. It's
Came
probably
across
like
on the Mayflower, right? Yeah.
yeah, something wild. And he's like, all right, go get set up or whatever it was, and just little freaking piece of stainless steel T joint.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just put a couple passes on it. Just let me see what you got. Right? I did it and butchered it. Just absolutely butchered it. I had never. So we had done at that time. It was mostly stick and MIG, right? Flux core,
Sure.
a very like structural based program. And I think I did TIG twice. And it was with the foot pedal, and I was
Right.
trying to
Right.
like, you know what I mean, sitting at the bench trying to like get everything going or whatever it was. And he was like, all right. He's like, you clearly lied on your application, but he's like, I'm gonna give you the job. And he's like, I want you to come in part time to start until you get better, and then obviously keep those other two jobs that you had, and come in the morning. So what I ended up doing was I ended up training people from I had two clients at a small gym. I had a 6 and a 7. Then I went to this shop and I worked from I think he let me come in a little. He wanted me there at 7, but I think I was there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So from 7 to like 9:30, I would go home, get food, and then I worked from 11 to 7 p.m. or 11 to 9 p.m. I don't remember exactly what the hours were. I could be way off, but at the warehouse, and I
Right.
would do that 6, 7 days a week until he told me, he's like, hey, get rid of those other two. I need you here full time. So
Awesome.
yeah, so I worked at that company for a couple years, and it was nothing but TIG. So it was a small little shop where I got to. It was like it was all aerospace parts. He had a government contract.
Sure.
So it's tiny little, like very, you know,
Right.
very intricate little pieces. So I worked there for a couple of years, and it was great. And I got really good at TIG, and I kind of like, that's just where I seem to have excelled post, KWI as well. It's just my thick is good, but it takes me a little bit longer to get set up. You know what I mean? I'm not a downhill guy. I'm
Right.
better
Right.
off. I'm way better at TIG. So, but yeah, yeah,
So you're set up and you're working at this fab shop. Everything's good.
yeah,
Where the decision to come to KBI and
yeah. So interestingly enough, I was having some relationship issues, and I had seen a video that you guys had put out, and I was like, I need to be making a lot more money, right? I've been working at the shop. I think I was making $15 an hour,
sure.
and I asked him for a raise, and he was like, all right, honorable thing to come and ask, right? He's like, I'll give you 16, and I was like, I can't do that. I was like, I'm not. Oh,
Right.
after the loyalty and everything else, like I was like, I can't do it. So I ended up making this decision with the girl that I was seeing at the time. I was like, you know, I'm gonna, pool our money together, whatever it is, and I'll pay you back. But I really think I should go and do this thing. And you know, it's interesting because you don't realize the severity of the decisions that you make, even
Right.
if it's not the partner that you choose in life, right? The people that you continue to surround yourself with have a very, very, very serious impact on your life. And I'm very grateful. You know what I mean? She took a chance on me, and I came to KWI with, $0 and 0 cents, and I made sure that while I was at KWI that I put 100% of my time, energy, and attention into being present and being intentional, and making sure that I came out with as many certs as I possibly could, and making sure that it's not only necessarily just about the certs too, but it's also about the connections,
Right.
and making sure that I was doing the right thing by you and Ashley and everybody else who was also taking a chance on me, you know what I mean, coming there as well. So I dove in, and I had a blast. I
Well,
loved. I can't say I loved every minute of it, right? Because
right.
it's right. It is work, right? It is very, very, very hard work, right? You're there from you got class. Obviously you guys have grown exponentially, right? Which is incredible, and it's so gratifying to see, right? Because you see a lot of like other institutes, and they're like, how much you think you're worth, and like, what do you
Right.
think you know? And it's
Yeah.
just so that's just so not the case, right?
Yeah. I don't even know why that's a buzz because that's not even how it happens, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you show up and take a weld test, you pass or fail, you get on whatever they're 36 and
yeah,
100 or 40 and
yeah,
150. But
yeah.
they don't. Your QC is not gonna be like, well, that sucks, but we'll bring you in at 12. It gets. Yeah, that's a funny
Here we're
thing.
gonna we're gonna bring you onto the shutdown so you can just weld hangers. Nope,
Right. Right.
no. It's like, guess what? You did really good work for us. You were only here for 2 weeks, but guess what? I liked your work ethic. You can stay on for until we do the startup. There's really nothing else to do. You might do some threaded pipe,
Right.
you know what I mean? Turn some valves and do some hangers. That's how it happens. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen the other way around. So, but
No, we get. Where were we going with that? Yeah, so KBI, we hope anyway, feels more like a job than it does a school. We aren't into. I mean, I think we're a fun group to be around, but we're not into slapstick and humor.
no,
We're trying to
no,
build the brand and put out
absolutely.
professionals. Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's exactly what you guys have done, right? And listen, like even the guys who, are responsible for seeing you through the steps before you get to start like the monster coupon tests and the
right.
restriction tests and like the actual cert tests, right? Like Garrett was on my excuse my language, but he was on my ass every
Yeah,
every time, right? He was
yeah,
he was no joke. But and it pissed a lot of people off, right? in my class, and they're like, oh, why is he so hard on everybody? Oh, this, that, and the third, right? Same with Jordan, right? And when Austin Arnett came back too, right? These guys were like on us. And I was like, I never took it that way. I was always like, they're trying to push us as hard as humanly possible, right? Because they know they've got the experience already. We're coming
Right.
in to get the experience and to get the know-how and the knowledge from them, right? Don't rag
Absolutely.
on them just because they're here, you know what I mean, teaching us or helping us, right? They're choosing to be here.
Yeah.
So I just tried to soak up and learn as much as I humanly possibly could, and just, you know,
And the personalities really come out in those guys too. Like occasionally, I'll get some, maybe some parent complaints on some of the gruffer instructors. Maybe like a Garrett or an Andrew, and I
yeah,
say, you know what? I can't predict the foreman or superintendent, the GF that your son or daughter is going to have. They need to learn how to get along in this industry. So we've got
yeah,
instructors. Jordan Johnson's kind of quiet, kind of leans back a little bit, I guess,
yeah.
but. Andrew Hildebrandt's got a booming voice. You can hear him all the way
Oh
across the
yeah.
shop. And Garrett just likes to nitpick
Oh man,
and get, yeah.
and he's got a way of doing it too. You know,
Yeah,
he'll poke
yeah.
you with the knife and he'll twist a little bit as he's doing it. He's like, I could have busted you right there, but
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's what do you think? And then Jordan will just go.
Right.
No,
But
but
in
it
the
was
end, as you go through a career, you're finding these personalities that you've had to work with, and you remember those experiences and be like, okay,
yeah,
I've got a Garrett as a push man. I know how to work for him.
hundred
It makes
percent.
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Totally agree. But again, like I said, just getting up every day, and I had work most of the
Right,
days too after school. So it was, for me, it was like, all right, over to Ashley's now. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Whether it was putting seed out in the fields or cleaning the tractors or
right.
splitting wood. I can't tell you how many pallets of wood I think me and one other guy split. But yeah, it was hard work, but man, I had a blast. I had a
Yeah,
blast with you guys. I really do consider because you guys took me in, right? I'm from New York. I was, his dad called me Yankee, right? Because he had a different name for everybody, right?
right.
And I was the first person from New York that had helped him on the farm and stuff. So, I was Yankee, and it was just. You guys took me in. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make, and it really is like a second home to me. I haven't been back since I've been to New York, or since I've come back and graduated and stuff. But I really do. Uh, I've got some things that I'm kind of working on right now here on the
Sure.
home front. But I told my fiance, I was like, babe, you and I really need to go down, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if I just like give you the car and you drop me off at school, and I can do some brush up and hang out with the guys a little bit or whatever it is, and stuff. I would love to do that,
Well,
but
the contest in April is now becoming sort of like an alum get together, a reunion, if you will. So we'll send you the dates, but it's usually that third weekend in April. You have to come down.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a Friday
I,
night, Saturday. Friday night's just kind of a hangout and chill type stuff. This year, I
okay.
think we're going to be intentional and do a little something with those, with those grads that are coming in. But that'd be a really cool time, I guess, to
Oh
reconnect and
man.
reminisce. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I like reminiscing, but like to, I feel like there's certain people, places, and things that you do throughout your entire life that you need to continuously have a connection to and a
oh yeah,
connection with, right? Because it had such a KWI, and being in Kentucky, um, has such an impact on my life and on my growth, not only as a man, but as a man of faith now, right? As a Christian, which to me is tops everything, right?
that's awesome.
Um, is really important to make sure that you continuously connect back and go back and nurture the relationships that you built there and in that community. So, but yeah, yeah,
All right, so you graduate KBI.
yeah.
What's it look like afterwards? How
So
quick were you on the job or?
I
Uh,
was I was I was working before. I think I had something set up a month before, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember, because you had sent us out to do a shutdown at uh International Paper.
sure, a co-op. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think four of us went, and it was supposed to be like 2 or 3 days, but it ended up only being one day. And So after that, come back. I had set something up with, I don't remember who it was. I forget the recruiter's name, but I was pretty much set up. And actually, I think the first job that I was on was with Keegan.
Nice.
I think our first job was at the Procter and Gamble plant in Ohio, and we were there for a while. We actually roomed together. So Keegan and I actually roomed together for a little bit at this little at
Well,
this.
you've got everybody's wheels spinning now because Keegan's a
Yeah.
Wildcat, so I'm sure you've got
He
some
was,
some crazy
yeah.
stories there.
He was like, you like this hotel? I was like, not at all, but we're gonna stay there because it's cheap and I ain't got no money. But it was called the Red Carpet Inn. Man, I will never forget it. It
Red
was
carpet.
wild, let me tell you. But yeah, him and I worked together for. We were not on the same crew. We were on different crews.
Right.
But I spent a lot of time just kind of, obviously, first job, right? I passed my tests, but they just put me on socket welds for a little while, and again kept my head down,
Yeah.
grounded out, and made some really great connections there.
You bring up I just talked to a couple of young guns that we just kicked out, and they're both rooming together, and they too found, like, I don't know, not a Hilton or something, like, a Super 8 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but I think it's important to, when you talk about being young and being conservative, I don't know why you wouldn't share a hotel, split some expenses, even drive to the job together, and then put more of that per diem in your pocket.
absolutely, yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
push.
I
Yeah.
mean, listen, I was sending, for me, it was like, all right, how much do I actually need for gas and food, and the rest of it's going home. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Right.
again, I had somebody back at home, who was waiting for me. But yeah, I spent after KWI, I was right out to work. I think there was like there actually was a little bit of a gap period after. I can't tell you exactly how long that job was. It was a few months long. There was a little gap period in between. And then I actually had an opportunity to go and test into the union.
Nice.
So I came back, um, and I was actually staying with a friend in Lexington. Um, yeah, I was staying with a friend in Lexington, and I was traveling to Ohio back and forth for two
Sure.
weeks. I slept on his couch. He let me sleep on his couch as long as I paid for food. We were good, right? And that, again, like I said, you just got to kind of. It was part of the hustle too. So
And are you
I
talking
ended
about
up.
testing it in Portsmouth?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
tested in Portsmouth, Ohio.
And so lucky, Ashley's got a beautiful relationship with those guys, right? They're a national testing facility, and so like you're talking
Yeah,
about, you wanted to go back home to New York,
correct.
but KWI and that Portsmouth testing center, good relationship.
Absolutely.
You're able to
Yeah,
test in there, and then you can go wherever you want. We got guys
pretty
going back to
much.
California, Texas. Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
You can. It's like pick your union, pretty much. You
Right.
know what I mean? So just to back up real quick, traveling was great, and I am totally for like younger guys because at the time I was in my mid 20s.
Right.
So for the younger guys, traveling, do the non-union thing, get the experience. Do the shutdowns, have fun, see the country. It's
Yeah.
it's amazing, right? But for me, I had somebody back at home
Right.
at the time, so my mindset was a little bit different. It was like, all right, I need to get the experience in the real world, right? I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna see if what I like. I ended up picking union just because it's close to home. I don't need, if I want to travel, I can. I have the opportunity and ability to,
Sure. Yep.
but there's stable benefits, you know what I mean, the health insurance, especially for somebody who has epilepsy, right?
Right.
I was paying out of pocket for my medication for a long time. So my medication was expensive.
Yeah.
So I think it was around $400, $600 a month for
Dang.
the
Yeah.
meds and stuff. So for me, that was like, it was like, all right, like let's put everything together and figure out what we're gonna do. And Portsmouth, Ohio. Shout out to the Ruggles, Matt Ruggles, man.
Matt
He
Ruggles.
is,
That's right.
yeah, he's. I talk to him, quarterly, maybe whatever it is,
Sure.
um, just to reach out and see how his family's doing and all the rest of it. But him and his father are like, when I got the phone call from his dad, he's like, "Where do you want to go?" Right after I finished those 2 weeks. Same thing like KWI. I just took as many tests as I
Yeah,
possibly could, and just, obviously, busted a couple, right? It happens. Who
sure, it
cares?
happens,
Just
right?
whatever. Just on to the next one. Don't think about the busted one. Just keep going, right? But yeah, his dad called me and he's like, "Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "I'm going back home." He's like, "All right." He's like, "There's a lot of back homes." Where
Right.
specifically
Which
back
one?
home? And I was like, "Let me call you right back." But I ended up picking local 21. It's a plumbers and steam fitters local, so it's a dual local. Um, the more you know, the more you grow,
Right.
and that's what I ended up choosing. It's a union in Westchester. We cover Westchester, Dutchess, Putnam, and Ulster County. And yeah, I signed my book, and I've been with the same, uh, pretty much the same company. I've been in the union for almost 9 years, 8, 9 years now, and I've been with the same company for about 6 of those years. So I traveled
Nice.
between companies. I did a big powerhouse, Dover Plains. Got a ton of experience there. Obviously, I one other thing, just to aside from welding, all
Right.
the NCCR rigging, signaling
Yeah.
stuff. I love working with cranes. It is so much fun.
It is good, isn't it?
Reading pick plans. You know what I mean? Tripping big pieces of pipe. You know what I mean? Like all that. Love it. Absolutely love it. Had a blast doing that at Dover. So, but yeah. Again, got more experience that I could ever have hoped for. You know what I mean? Working at that power plant, and spent a couple of years there because it was a big job. So, but
And you hit
yeah,
the nail on the head with this, where you were at and what you needed. A lot of young guns can stay on their mom and dad's insurance till they're 26, but if you're in your mid 20s and you talk about some health, some medications and whatnot, what are some of the other pros that you have found on the union side? Because honestly, there'll be a lot of people that'll, if we're in a podcast and they're looking at the time slots, they're going to jump right to this because even with
yeah,
KWI students we currently have, everybody wants to know that debate. They want the opinion. What does Bobby Pease think I should do? And I
mm,
always back off and say, man, I want what you want. Like, because I'm not going to get in the middle of, because sometimes
yeah,
that can get heated between union and non.
yeah.
So
I
if
don't
you
really
want
have
union,
any. Yeah, I don't really have any beef between union or non-union because at the end of the day, it's kind of like, where are you at? This is just like my opinion. It's
right?
like, do I want more stability? Do I want to be closer to home more frequently? Do I want like to plant my roots somewhere in
Sure.
particular? Maybe think about union, right? If you're willing to travel, if you're willing to kind of to do your own hustling, right?
Yeah.
Maybe non-union is your thing. My thing is if you're going to be making per diem or whatever it is, don't touch that per diem.
Right.
Put it away. Put it away in an investment account. Don't spend it on booze. Don't spend it on chasing women. Don't do any of that. Put the per diem away. It's the same thing as like when you get into the union, you'll have like your annuity, your pension. You're going to have like a vacation fund too, right?
Right.
Don't touch the vacation fund stuff. It's a couple $100s a week, whatever it is. Just let it sit there, let it hang out. Don't touch it, right?
Yeah.
Vacation, you can take vacation when you want to take vacation. Use your paycheck for that stuff, right? So
Dylan, that's
definitely,
actually an awesome thing. I mean, I've never really thought of it that way, but that might be a great rule for young people getting out. Is no
mm,
matter what you're getting in per diem, set that aside and put that in your Roth IRA or something like that. But
yeah,
but
absolutely.
live off the rest because most of us will spend what we make, and that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
absolutely.
When a guy graduates, he's 19 to 24. Those 3, 4, or $5,000 paychecks a week are coming in, and he's thinking about the new Duramax and the wheels and the underglow and the
Yeah.
razor and the steakhouse, and he's just bleeding all that. But if he could
Yeah.
separate that and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to spend my paycheck, but I'm going to kick back my per diem," that's
Yeah,
intelligent.
because
Yeah,
when you think about it, right, it's like if they're like if it's like $150 a week, $200 a week, $300 a week, right? Let's just be crazy and say 250 bucks a week, right?
right.
For per diem, right? When you think about that over like the duration of the job, right? At the end, if you put that in like just the safest investment account that you possibly could at 4 to 6%, and you work, 10 months, you can take you can take the return
Right.
out and go on a nice vacation and then just leave the rest that you already had there. You're going to go away anyways.
Right.
What's the point of playing with it anyways? Oh, I'm going to take all the cold months off. Okay, whatever, right? But because everybody wants to take the cold months off.
Yeah.
But coincidentally, that's where the bread and butter is,
Right. Right.
in my opinion, right? The cold months, because nobody wants to work in the cold, but
Yeah.
you'll end up spending a lot more time on the job because nobody wants to work those months. But yeah, man, just stack up as much cash as you possibly can, especially if you're going non-union, right? Because you don't have the 401k set up, you don't
Yeah.
have the annuity set up, you don't have those things set up, so you're responsible
To take care of yourself.
for
Yeah.
taking care of it yourself. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. That's all good stuff. Yeah. The finance has always been near and dear to me. Just because I think that America and everything that we unfortunately are exposed to tells us to live beyond our means. Buy
Yeah.
now, pay later mentality.
Yeah.
Again, right down to that victimhood. But nothing breaks my heart more is when I'm maybe talking to a younger person and they're and they expect the education to be all free because that's what the American government is.
Yeah.
But they'll sign on the dotted line for that $80,000 Cummins that depreciates as soon as they drive it off the lot. Like that
Absolutely.
doesn't register to them at all.
Yeah. What does Dave Ramsey say? The poorest guy on the job site's got the $80,000 to $100,000 truck. It's like
That's right. That's right.
9
Slave.
times out of 10.
Slave to the bank. That's right. That's right.
9 times out of 10. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
No financial freedom in that. All right. So what has so now you're locked into the union. Local 21. You're living life. You're having what is this welding lifestyle, this freedom allowed you to explore outside of that? Because I know you've been. I've been watching you from Facebook afar,
Yes,
but
sir.
I've really enjoyed your journey and what
Yeah.
I've seen. So talk to us about some of that.
Highs and lows, man. Highs and lows again. So one thing I do want to highlight, I came to Christ about
That's
2
awesome.
years ago. Yeah, my fiance actually brought me to our second date was at church. So we had Friday night
Nice.
was our first date, and then Sunday morning was date number 2.
I like this
So,
girl. Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. She was like, I know what I want, and I want a man of God, so that's what she got. And yeah, but there's been that.
So let's rewind a little bit. Were you
Yeah,
raised Christian wise? What was it like in?
No, so my obviously, like I said, parents split, right? My mom would bring me to church on occasion. I never
Right.
really understood it growing up as a kid. But my dad and my stepmom were not Christian at all. Just the opposite. They're like, believe whatever you want. This,
Right.
just the whole spectrum of things. But what's interesting is when you look back on your life, you can always see God's protection and provision, His mercy and His grace
Yeah.
on my life, right? So whether it be protecting me when I was having seizures, right, bringing me out of them, whether it be uh, essentially delivering me from the epileptic seizures that I was having,
Right.
whether it be allowing me to be sober for a year on December 1st. So yeah, there's been a lot of things that that I can look back on now, just as a kid growing up and saying, like, thank you for always being there for me. Thank you for being a good father. Thank you for being merciful to me, especially when I did not deserve that mercy or that grace. So yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And not to hang up my mom and dad, of course, divorced. I don't really know where my dad was. Didn't see him much. We had like that 1 weekend a month type thing, but we moved around so much that honestly didn't spend much time with him growing up.
Yeah.
And my mom, God love her, just always working and check the check type stuff. But
Yeah.
appreciate, I definitely understood what hard work was, watching her do her. But yeah, I think we always grew up knowing we were Christian or believing in God, but really no good relationship. How about that? We were in
Yeah,
some churches.
absolutely. Yeah. I never really understood what a relationship with Christ looked like because you open the Bible and it's very overwhelming. It's a huge book and there's lots of stories and things are connected to these and that. And it's just like, it seems very overwhelming. It's like, well, this God must be too big to love me, right?
Right. He's
'Cause
got
I
all
don't
these things to worry
understand
about.
the word
Right.
he's talking about, like, all right, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. But that's like the one thing that you hang on to. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Paul wasn't even talking about being strong.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, there's it's a learning thing, and it takes surrender, right? It takes
Yeah.
true, again, like hard work. You have to surrender to it. So
And you've brought it up a couple times, just as far as being intentional. I can hear that in you. It's definitely
yeah,
something that you've grabbed onto. But now raising our kids, kind of like you talked about, we make them go to school, or we make them wake up, we make them eat their vegetables type stuff. But a lot of
yeah,
parents are like, but when it comes to religion, and I think we've been gaslighted in America to think that that's
yeah,
how we should be. Let them make that
yeah,
choice. But that's the most important choice. That's the most important thing they've got. So of course, like when we raise our kids, they're going to church, and it's not even a
absolutely,
question or
yeah.
a conversation. That we all get
It's
up
just
on
the
Sunday, they know
standard.
exactly where they're going. Right.
Yeah, it's the standard.
My son struggled with reading in elementary school, and the teachers kept telling us this and that, this and that. We just started cracking our Bibles open every night after dinner, and
Yeah.
just reading the Bible through in a year, and then his scores in reading went way up, and the teachers were like, "Well, look what we did." Like, yeah, probably not, but
Yeah.
okay.
Hopefully you gave him something a little bit easier than the King James, because
Right. Well, yeah. We rock back on some CSB or something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
for
there you
sure,
go.
for sure. But but
Yeah.
yeah, I think as parents, you need to be intentional. I know maybe you haven't started your family yet, and I don't know where you're at in that, but man, you can look back on your experiences, or you can read that Bible, because it's full of what to do and what not to do. You don't have to learn from your own
Absolutely.
mistakes,
Yep.
but yeah, I just wanted to be so much more intentional with my family, and I can feel that coming out in you as far as
Yeah.
wake up and
I'll
be
I'll
intentional.
be married in January. Officially, I'll be married in
Well,
January.
congratulations,
And
man.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, I can't wait to start having kids.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited for again, like I said, the next steps and everything in my life, and all the rest of it. But yeah, just being intentional, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. So faith wise, what were your, I guess, growing up, your experiences? Like you said, your dad and stepmom let you decide types of. So when did you first
yeah.
start maybe pushing against your faith, or coming to a curiosity? I guess. I mean, surely it wasn't just your wife said, or your fiance said, you have to go to
No,
church tomorrow.
no.
Yes.
I had always kind of been curious, with regards to my faith. I always knew that there was something greater than me. I just didn't understand that it was Jesus. I didn't understand that it was God. I didn't understand where it was coming from, right? Where I drew a lot of my strength from, where I drew a lot of my hard work from. And the more I continue to educate myself, the more I continue to learn, right? Because I'm going to be a lifelong learner. Doesn't matter
Right.
what I choose to do. I think it's important as a man, not only work, but to learn, to continuously learn, and humble yourself. So I'm just on the journey right now. You know what I mean? I'm 2 years into being baptized, and I think part of my learning experience is also running this men's fitness group through the church.
Yeah.
And them allowing me and then trusting me to run this group through the church, right? So we'll do like an hour-long workout, and we do a 30-minute Bible study after. And just allowing me to teach and make mistakes, right? Just like just like I'm sure you do with your kids, right?
Yes,
You got to
sir.
let them
Yes, sir.
fall down and bump their head a bunch, so that they can get back up and figure it out. But just that principle, and allowing me to do it, it's
I
been
love.
it's been super, super gratifying to me.
I love the fact that you said that maybe even though you weren't raised Christian, you felt like there was
No.
something bigger out there. I mean, Paul says that
Yeah.
we are without excuse, right? That and we were created to worship. So we all have this hole in us that we don't know how to fill, and some of us are trying to fill that with sports or careers, or with lifestyle, music.
Yeah.
But honestly, the true Sabbath, the rest, the fulfillment comes from Christ Jesus, and that's
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's and the more I continue to learn too, the more I begin to understand, like, every answer that you have in life, whether you're 7 years old or 77 years old, is going to come from that book,
Right.
right? It's going to come from the Bible, right? Whether
Oh
it talks about
gosh.
finances, whether it talks
Yep.
about how to love your wife, whether it talks about making love to your wife, right?
Yeah. Everything. It's all
Songs
in
of
there.
Solomon
That's right.
was very graphic, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it
Oh.
was Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on tonight. Type of thing, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it was
So,
good.
but yeah, it's really given me a very clear path to who I want to be as a man, and just outside of welding, right? And just outside of all
Yeah.
of this, where I want to go and who I want to be as a man in the future, right? I want to be a godly man. I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good father. And I want to be a good teacher. And whether that be teaching the trade, right? Whether it be teaching the trade to somebody, younger than me, whether it be helping them in a relationship with Christ, or even in this men's fitness group, like being able to speak life into people and being able to help them in their journey in life along the way has been incredible. To be able to see the fruit, right? Because we're expected to produce fruit, right? And we will be judged by the fruit that we create. So having these conversations at work, right? Having these conversations with people who are not Christian, and obviously I'm sure a lot of people who are working on the jobs after KWI and stuff, they will come across a lot of people who
Right.
are very, like you were saying, rough, you know what I mean? And not followers. So being able to have the balance too is
Yeah.
super, super important.
Two things you brought to mind for me. Romans 1:32, I believe. I think it's wild. You talked about in your younger years the types of stuff that you were into. And in American culture, it says that not only do we approve of that sin, but we celebrate those who practice that. And I think it's so contrary, so counterintuitive, that the American culture celebrates the stupid stuff. That anybody can do as far as drinking or sleeping around, the hookup culture. Like who can't physically just have sex with a bunch of multiple partners? But the hard things, the disciplined things, the things that separate us and make us, godly men or just great men, even if you're not a Christian, would be that you are honorable and to one woman, and that you stay the course, and that you know how to control yourself. And when that flesh says, I want to, you can say, no, not today. Get behind me, Satan, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's it's so unfortunate that I wish if there was one thing I could push out to the youth, it would be if you truly want great things for yourself, don't view these 10 commandments as the friend police, but as guardrails to living your best life.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's God saying, don't touch the hot stove. Like He loves you. He wants you to live your best life. Just stay between these two guardrails, and you're going to be fine. But unfortunately, that's not what the culture has taught us at all.
No, it hasn't. It's pushed, and just to kind of, I don't like. Please don't mistake this for me talking poorly about anybody, but right, you're like, my father didn't know any better, right? So he was just like. It's always like, well, make sure you're protected, make sure you're around people that you're safe with, make sure, you know what I mean, if you're doing these things, like cover the bases as like, but like, is that really the standard that we want to live by? Is that really like, at the end of the day, right, you have to look yourself in the mirror, right? And if you decide to sleep with 100 women and drink 2 cases of beer every day, like, and that's the kind of man you want to be, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. I'm going to direct you. But at the end of the day, you'll figure it out on your own. I feel like a lot of guys, I feel like there is a bit of a revival a little bit right now.
Sure.
I feel like the youth are starting to understand a little bit more that faith and Christ are important, right? And I think that's just, not to get political, but I feel like after being in 4 years of absolute chaos, right? I feel like that's what's going to happen, right? It's ebbs and flows. But as a man, you need to be consistent, right? And to be as consistent as possible. So
and to
I
echo
have my
you,
inconsistencies. Yeah.
As I say, to echo you, I don't think that I necessarily need to stop or push my Christian views in your face necessarily.
No, of course.
We serve a God who gives autonomy. We have free choice. But you're right that Bible just keeps giving you answers. We study now that psychologically, the more partners you have, your brain, you're becoming psychologically connected with these individuals. So every time you rip apart. And that you're training your body to play musical chairs. So if your hope is to one day be celebrating a 50th wedding anniversary, then you need to squash the hookup culture mentality, because unfortunately your psychology is going to be twisted the exact
Absolutely.
opposite of your goals.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to be it's going to be a thing with every generation, or whoever, right? There's going to be these, like I was just saying, ebbs and flows and stuff, but
right.
it's our responsibility, to help the younger generation, um, to kind of not necessarily like say, hey, listen, this is the only way, right? Because again, like you were just saying, right? My views are my views, right? I'm not going to push my views on anybody. That's not what Christ would want me to do, but I am going to help guide you in a way through that book, whether you like it or not, right? That's
Right.
my guide. Those are my guardrails, right?
Right.
So I have to do what I'm called to do, and you can take bits and pieces out, right? Just such as life, right? I took bits and pieces out from when I was in Rome, New York. I took bits and pieces out from when I was in Sleepy Hollow, from when I lived on Long Island, KWI. You take all these bits and pieces out and you say, all right, where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? How am I going to present myself to the world?
Yeah, and I think we should absolutely stand on truth. Jesus met sinners where they were at. I think we are
Yeah.
called to do the same. I don't think I should hold back or water down my gospel at all. I'm
Mm.
okay to just let it out, and if that offends you, then so be it. The truth is
Yeah.
offensive. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had one more thought, Dylan, but
No,
I
you're
I
good.
let
You're
it go.
good. We
I
did
let it
go,
go.
we did go off the rails a little bit. We were kind of talking about post KWI and the road that we, that I'm on right now. Yeah, so the things that I'm working full time, right? I've been with this
Right.
company for about 6 years now. Um, they're great. I do some plumbing. I do a bunch of welding. I do some plumbing. I do a bunch of welding. Don't really care because I'm working. At the end of the day, I got more tools in my tool belt.
Yeah,
I
and it
am
keeps you
the
fresh,
shop.
right? Keeps you
Yeah,
fresh as far as bouncing back and forth.
I
Yeah,
am
that's
the
awesome.
shop welder. So whether it be welding hangers to stainless stick rod to aluminum to what pipe to
There you
whatever it
go.
may be, I get all of it. I get the nastiest nasty stuff at the wastewater treatment plants, and I get the easiest, the gravy that I could possibly ask for. You know what I mean? Where I'm sitting nice and warm in the wintertime. So, and I get everything in between, and I don't care because I'm gonna take it because I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm beginning to become a little bit more passionate about working with the next generation, and I'm able to pursue um, passion projects of mine,
Yeah,
being a leader in the church community, right? With the men's fitness group. I've always loved fitness, so I've always wanted to coach and help people in that regard, and I've been allowed the time and more importantly, not only just the time, but the attention as well, right? And the intentionality, to be capable of saying, all right, I get my 45 hours a week, whatever it may be, and I have this extra time now where I can set aside time to help others in an area that isn't welding. That's because
right.
you need to have balance, right? You can't
Sure.
just continuously like, oh yeah, I'm only gonna do blah blah blah. I'm just gonna weld for the rest of my life, and then you end up looking like you're 85 years old and you're 38. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
because you've been huffing fumes and like traveling nonstop. You need to allow yourself to pursue other things. Like Keegan is a perfect example, right? I
Yeah.
mean, dirt biking and riding up those absolute monstrous hills and all the rest of it is it's crazy to me, right? But to each their own. So I've been
That's
really diving.
I love the fact. Again, I've had a handful of these conversations so far, and
Yeah,
everybody's idea of that is different. But welding unites them all, right? Because you get that
of
financial
course.
freedom. You're able to open up some time and some attention to
Yeah,
the things you want because you're not living check to check, and you're
yeah,
you're enjoying your work day, sure.
yeah.
But you've also everybody has some hobbies and some uniqueness to themselves, and it allows you to
Mhm.
pursue that.
Absolutely. And relationships too, right? I feel
Yeah,
like as you travel so much and as you continue to like just chase the check and the per diem or whatever you're chasing, right? The paying off the truck or whatever, right? You negate the relationship part of things, right?
right,
You become
right.
cold and hardened because you're around uh, a tough bunch. I'm not, the guys who travel, a lot are a rough bunch of bunch of guys, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Right.
right? But that's all they know, right? Is just traveling.
That's what I was going to say. You reminded me now in that, we're all called, and unfortunately, the culture is going the opposite way. And the construction industry is not nice. You're going to see. It reminds me a lot of the military type stuff, as far as like it's rough, and guys are going to have 3 and 4 ex-wives and baby mamas and alimony, and they're broke, and the drugs and the partying. But as a Christian, I kind of get excited about that because we're called to be a light in the darkness. So this is an excellent opportunity to witness to those. You just got to make sure you defend your witness. Don't go out here wearing a cross and doing like the world does.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
But there's a bunch of guys who are like, I believe in Christ, but and then they go to the bar after work, and you know what I mean? Like they come in stumbling in the next day, and they're like,
right. And
no.
foul language and just all kinds of just I would much rather you and I say this as kindly as I can. Don't advertise that you're a Christian if you're not going to walk the walk. I mean, because again, you're making the rest of us look bad.
Yeah. Just to counter that too, right? We're all capable of sin, right? We all fall back into old habits, right?
Romans 3:23. Yeah.
For me, now that I'm not drinking and doing all the other stupid stuff, my potty mouth has a tendency to take charge, right? And I do have a tendency to bring it home. It's something that I'm continuously working on. Right. But again, just about growth and about being a little bit better every day. So, and it's a good opportunity too, right? Because I don't have kids right now. It's like, all right, you better get that.
Work on
you. Get that tongue in check. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. And I should back up. I'm not throwing any shade. If you've got someone that that you think needs cleaned up before they come to church or Christ, you got this completely wrong, because you don't. You have to introduce them to Christ. That's it. So where he's going to meet them wherever they're at. So whatever baggage they've got, that's exactly where he's going to meet them. Don't think that you have to be good enough.
We are all a sack of potatoes.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We are all a sack of potatoes to him. So it's like it doesn't matter if you come. Nobody's perfectly polished. If you think any Christian is perfectly polished and they haven't had a bad thought in their head since the day they were born until the time they die, you are sadly mistaken. You got the wrong Christian. You know what I mean? So, I'm just as sinful and wretched as the next person. You know what I mean? But
so meet your wife then. I try to speak into these young individuals. When they're considering their relationships, I challenge them to get past maybe the initial attraction and start talking those big things. What about us religiously? What is your faith? What is mine? What about politics? I mean, I say this with a grain of salt, but I think it'd be tough to live in a household where dad was a hardcore conservative and mom was a hardcore liberal. I don't see how that works as far as growing kids. And then what about
it doesn't. It doesn't at the end of the day. It's I was very, very fortunate. Obviously, at the time, I was, what is it? We're coming up on 3 years now, and I'm 34. So I was 31 when we met. I was just about to turn 31, and we were like, all right, like what are the big things? We skipped all the fluff. Like, let's get to the brass tacks here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was very intentional. So. And she was too. She asked me hard questions like, how do you want our kids to grow up? Like, do you want them to go to Catholic school? Are you okay with me staying home? We talked about everything under the sun. And for me, we clicked on 99.9% of everything, right?
Good.
Now, that doesn't negate us from having tiffs and arguments and the stupid stuff. I think it's interesting. Because I was just talking to my pastor about it this past weekend. It's like when you agree on so much, the tiffs and the little things become big things. Right? They become the main topics of conversation. Oh, we don't get along with this, that, and the third. It's like we don't have anything to fight about. So we're just fighting about like my dirty clothes on the floor and like how filthy the place is or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? It's just like that's generally what it is. But I'm very, very, very fortunate to have a woman who is sacrificial, who loves God, who loves Jesus just as much as I do, who works incredibly, incredibly hard. She does work for full time still, But the goal is to get her to be able to stay home. My
Yeah.
goal and my hope is to be able to allow her the opportunity to stay home and to raise our family and to raise our kids. I think that is the most honorable heart. I think it's the heart. I get it easy to go out and to be able to have the opportunity. Like that's easy compared to being here all day raising kids or whatever it is. I salute all of the stay-at-home moms. It's the hardest job in the world. I
Oh,
can't
and
imagine.
the stigma around that is so benign. Like, why on earth would it be looked down upon to stay home and raise your kids? Why is that not a blessing from God?
Imagine
Yeah,
being able to see your babies grow from the time they are born until they depart at whatever age they choose to leave the house at,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and to be able to be allowed the opportunity to provide for my wife in that way, like, there's no greater gift. I
I
don't
think,
think, right?
yeah, I think that it's the devil's attack on the family. It started back in the '60s, '70s, as far as like
Hmm.
women should be free to go work, and that you kind of built that up, and now unfortunately, the economy is such that it's almost impossible if you don't have a income household.
Yeah,
But yeah, good for you and good for your wife. Set it up and yes, let her
yeah,
be the one that's intentionally raising
absolutely.
your
Yeah.
kids. They're the most important commodity, that's in your life. I don't know why you wouldn't want to spend
Yeah. One
ample
of the
time.
things that that just talk about just to talk about sacrifice for a second too,
Yeah,
and to put my ego and my own pride and my own stuff aside, is my wife is very ambitious. She's very driven and she's an incredibly hard worker, and she had set herself up to allow herself to buy an investment house, which is what
nice.
I'm in right now. We don't live together right now because we're not officially married, so
Sure.
we're trying to follow the rules, right?
Yes, sir.
But we have a two-family house, right? And I have nothing to do with this place other than I'm responsible for fixing it up. But I have my pension and my annuity and all the other stuff. She was allowed and allotted the opportunity to buy a two-family house for us, for our family. And I feel like as a man, to be able to put my ego and my pride aside was very hard, because um I felt like I wasn't doing a good job as a husband. But then what I realized is that this isn't for me, this isn't for her, this is for our kids, this is for our kids'
Right.
kids, right? We are working together as a team. It doesn't matter who picks it up at the beginning or who picks it up at the end. It's about
Yeah.
working together as a unit and as one. And I feel like, it's hard. It's just it always comes back to, like, just plain old, get your hands dirty, just good old fashioned hard work,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I hate to sound like cliche or like, just it's just about working hard, man. That's it. So, but that's kind of like what our life is kind of looking like right now. We're planning on a small little wedding in January. I'm sleeping on a mattress on the floor and working on the house, you know what I mean? Like, and ripping carpet up, putting flooring in, doing the plumbing stuff,
Yeah.
welding some stuff in the basement to make sure that the house doesn't freaking fall on us and all the
And
rest of it. And
and this is
yeah,
the house you guys will both move into. Then you're saying
yeah, 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 yeah,
that's
yeah. So we'll
that's
end
kind of
up.
cool, man, because it's
Yeah,
reminiscent. Jesus in the Gospels constantly referred to this relationship we have as a marriage. And in Jewish culture, when you first got engaged,
mm,
it was the guy's responsibility to go build a place, for.
yeah,
And so you're kind of being the carpenter and getting things sorted out before. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. And again, it doesn't look like it's really hard for me to talk about. But I feel like I owe it to myself, right? Because this might be able to help somebody else, right? Is to be able to put your ego aside and be like, listen, she's worked just as hard as I have.
Right.
She deserves this just as much as I do, right? Why would I block my blessing? Why would I block my blessing of being able to have a house, for even if it's just a small, like, it's a two-family house, right?
Right.
So we have tenants that are paying a vast majority of the mortgage right now. I'm paying, and I live in New York, and we're paying considerably less than what most people would. Why would I say, no, babe, you know what? I'm going to take a large sum of money out of my annuity. I'm going to put a hit on us, this, that, and the third. You just save your money. You use that to do it. It's like, it's a no brainer. It should be a no brainer. If you're truly looking for like we'll circle back to, right? If you're truly looking for a good partner, you should be able to say, all right, like, let me take a step back. Let me see, like, what is the most important thing for us as a unit? So, yeah. And it allows me to use my skills too. And she thinks I'm an absolute stud when I do yard work and work around the house. So it's kind of a little ego boost too, right?
I was going to say two things. I think a lot of times we're forced to have to pick. Is this gaslight that American culture does? They make us pick. So we just said that we think it'd be awesome if our wives could stay home and raise the kids. Well, right away they put us into a category then that says that, like you're saying, that the women must then, I guess, not bring anything to the table. But if you go to the Bible and you're in the Proverbs, you read about the woman of noble character, and she's buying and selling land, and she's making purple silk. I mean, she's a doer, and so they can both be true. Absolutely.
Every woman in the Bible is a go-getter.
That's right.
Every woman in the Bible is a go-getter. So,
and again, the Christian worldview would be this: when God said that Eve, He would make a helper, a helpmate for Adam. That same word is used for God to describe Himself. So Correct. It's not like it's a lesser than anything. If God is our helper and Eve is our helper, like it's, I just think it's...
And the word after that is suitable, right?
Right.
I feel like we leave that word out a little bit sometimes too. A helpmate suitable for him, right? My fiance, Angela, was made suitable to help me succeed just as much as I'm suitable to help her succeed, right? So while whoever it may be is dating or whatever it is, you have to make sure that you guys find a good like ebb and flow in your relationship, right? Because not everybody's going to be suitable for you, right? You might be really attracted to that person. You guys might, have really great conversation, all that stuff, but you guys might just be walking on two completely different paths. And the further you get in the relationship, the further you go. And then you realize you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, oh no, what have I done? You go, oh my gosh, like, this person is like draining my bank account left and right, or whatever it may be, right? Like, yeah.
Well, that's the number one. That's the number one reason people end a divorce is money. Fighting over money. So again, that's why I'm saying you're doing it right. Pump the brakes. Have the big talks, because you really got to know who you're getting in this covenant relationship with under God. Marriage is definitely one of the most important decisions you're ever going to make. And I don't care what anybody says about. I don't think anybody at 15, 16, 18 years old is like, oh, I hope one day I'm 40 or 50 and I've had 3 divorces. I split the kids up at Christmas. You and I are both from divorced families. It's not fun. It's not the ideal.
Getting shuffled around all the time is not fun at all.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So right now you're working. You're getting ready to get married. You're also, I've stumbled upon your website here. You also will do some personal training as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Train with Dylan?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I don't really use it as like a side gig or like a side hustle.
Sure.
It's more or less to help people get back on track. I feel like a lot of guys in the trades, they're either very hardcore when it comes to their fitness and their health, or they're an absolute slob.
Yeah.
There really doesn't seem to be an in-between. And I hate to say it like that, but it's just what I've seen. And it's really unfortunate because our job is hard work, right? And, it's easy to just pull your leads and tell the helper or tell the apprentice or tell whoever it is to like, you know what I mean? Oh, go and grab that or whatever it is. But to be able to perform the duties at your job and some at home and all the rest of it, right, is I mean, again, just you need to take care of your health. You have to. In this business, you are only as good as you are healthy. And I feel like a lot of guys forget that because you're not promised tomorrow, right? So if you're not promised tomorrow, you're doing yourself a disservice to say, you know what, I'll worry about the health stuff when I'm relaxing, when I have those 2 or 3 months off, or when I go on this vacation, or I'll put it off tomorrow. No, make it a priority now, right? Because once you're sick, that's the only priority you have, is being sick and taking care of your health, right? When you're healthy, you can be proactive about all of the other things. So
We say
I love
choose
it.
choose your hard. I guess
Oh,
waking
absolutely.
up waking up early and working out, that's hard. But so is being fat and out of
Yeah.
shape and taking those stairs. That's hard too.
Yeah.
Saving your money all the time, being a conservative, that's hard. But
Yeah.
being broke and poor is hard. So it doesn't matter what you're gonna do in life. It's gonna be hard.
100%.
So
Yep.
choose your hard. I think is the
Always choose your hard. Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that fitness has helped me do, right, is, again, like I said, my job is very stable. So I'm usually like 6:30. We usually kick off. So going to the gym in the morning doesn't really happen for me.
right.
Um, so what I usually do is I usually take that time to make sure that I'm rested for work, right? And then I have some time after work right now, in the afternoon, where I'm able to get a like an absolute killer workout in. And then that kind of recharges my batteries to come here and take care of the tenants if I need to take care of the tenants, to do whatever work I need to do around here, whatever else I need to do. You know what I mean? There's
Oh yeah.
plenty of other stuff that people have called me for to do, and to help them with. So it allows me the flexibility to say, you know what, like 2:30, 3 o'clock hits, like let's get after it. You know what I mean? I got an hour. Tuck your
Yeah.
chin.
It's an absolute pick me up, and you can ride those endorphins like you're
Absolutely.
saying the rest of the day. So if you
Yep.
get a little sluggish, hit the gym, get a good hard workout in, and that'll carry you through, like
Absolutely.
you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. And trust me, those leg days, the following days after really do hurt.
yeah,
But it's like you feel accomplished, right?
right.
As a man, you want to feel like you did something worth. You got to earn that sleep. I like to talk about like earning sleep, right? I feel like I earned my sleep that
Yeah,
day when
yeah,
I get up and I work hard at work, and then I go to the gym and I work hard at the gym, and then I come home, and even if it's just 2 hours of work at the house, you know what I mean? It's better than nothing, you know what I mean? And then you lay down in bed and you're like, man, like that was a great day,
yeah,
like when you think about a great day, sometimes you don't really think about, working out and all this other stuff, right? You're like, man, sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais would be a great day. But then when you're there doing it, you're like, this is kind of boring.
right, right.
Like I
Yeah,
don't
I
like, this
think
is fun for a week, but
yeah, I think we should be wrung out, like you're saying. Just soak up
yeah,
every minute. Go to bed tired. Absolutely.
yeah,
And again, relate this back to being, the biblical man. We're called to be the Christ to our family. What did Christ do for the church? He died for
yeah,
her. So we should be sacrificing, dying daily for our fiancés, our wives, our children.
absolutely.
If anybody's waking up early and going to bed late, if anybody's, again, getting wrung out,
Yep.
it should be us leading from the front.
Yep. Allowing our wives to rest and be able to pick up and say, all right, well, you're not capable of doing that. Let me step in and
Right.
fill the need, fill the need, fill the need. So, and I try to bring that into everything that I do too. Obviously, excuse me, I can't, physically do that. It's just physically impossible, right? To constantly fill the need, right? You need to find things again that fill your cup as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I think stepping outside of work or whatever you do, welding, this, that, and the third, right? And having those side hobbies and having those people in that community around you to fill your cup up is just as important.
And I think it's a great what you're doing. You use what you're good at, your interests, again, as
Mm,
another ministry. So it can, I'm a teacher, so I like to lead Bible studies like you talked about. And with welding, we offer a couple ways for people to engage in the gospel at KWI, whether it's those Sundays or we just took a group to the Ark Encounter and showed those guys.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, Ken Ham's big Ark exhibit in northern
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kentucky.
yeah.
But you're a trainer, man. So why not be that guy in your church, leading those guys
Yep,
to develop their bodies, and then enjoy that camaraderie, that relationship, and then
absolutely.
those relationships allow you to dialogue and grow deeper in Christ together.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Even at work too, I've noticed that my obedience to the things that I'm passionate about, have led others to push
yeah.
themselves in ways that they aren't like actively thinking about, because a lot of the guys that I work with don't follow Christ, right?
Right,
So I have
right.
to kind of like trickle little things in, right? And I'll also trickle the fitness stuff in as well.
Yeah,
And it's just
right.
like, You know what I mean? Whether it's like joking around, like, oh, your arms are, your arms were looking big over the summer. They're getting a little small right now. You might want to, you slacking at the gym? What's going on, Mike?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
or whoever it be, but, or, just propping them up too. Like, hey man, like, I see you crushing it, like,
yeah,
there's a couple of guys who got 2, 3 kids, that I work with. So it's like for them, getting to the gym is tough.
yeah,
So it's like, you got to make sure that, you're helping them out as well. I got it
yeah.
easy right now. So.
Well, and again, not to hate on anybody, but don't use your kids as an excuse to get some sort of dad bod. I don't get,
No, man, you want to be
now
strategic.
you've got little guys to be role models for, so you should absolutely
Absolutely.
still be killing it, leading from the
Yeah.
front. Yeah,
Yeah. Daddy calls you Superman for a reason, right?
that's
Make
right.
sure it's
That's right.
for a good reason. You might not look like Henry Cavill, but that's okay. Like having big
Uh,
arms to jump on and not a belly to be bouncing on is I think is much better. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's been a heck of a chat, Dylan. We've gone for I mean, if I'm looking at the clock up here, an hour and 25 minutes. A lot
Yes,
of
sir.
good stuff. I think. I know I'll be the first one to listen to this one, I guess, because I just to relive it all. It's been great. Closing out, what are some things? Let's sign off here with just a couple of quick pieces of advice that you would give to a young individual who is looking to possibly start a career in welding, or just life advice, because I know you're good at that too. What are some things that no matter what they want to do, if they could be successful, these are the two or three things that they should harness in on.
Yeah. There's really not much other than a couple of things, right? Open your eyes, open your ears, and shut your mouth.
Yeah,
Um, that's really it. That's what I've continued to do, right? And just work hard. Just continuously working hard looks different for everybody, right? Um, it doesn't mean like just doing a bunch of things, right?
right.
It means being intentional in the things that you're doing. It means learning from the people who have the experience, humbling yourself. That's really it. That's I always try to open my eyes, open my ears, and shut my mouth, and work as hard as possible.
Yeah, they say you get 2 eyes, 2 ears, one mouth, and that's probably the ratio you should operate those at.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're young and you first get on the job, you're getting paid from the neck down. Like
Mm,
some of those old GFs have been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. They don't want to hear about how you think you've got a faster way. They just view that as being lazy.
yep.
So it's time to put your head down and go to
Yep.
work. Yeah, I
What do
like
they
that.
say? What do they say in slow is smooth, smooth is fast?
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
And go to James. Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Yeah. So
absolutely. Yep.
keep. Yeah, yeah. Especially when you're young and you just be just be a sponge. Soak it up.
A
Gain all
hundred
those
percent.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I've enjoyed the night, Dylan.
Dude.
Appreciate you joining us, man. And the invite is 100%. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to put that on you, but I'm going to be disappointed if you don't show up at the contest and catch up with us a little bit. But
I'd be honored to, honestly. Thank
yeah,
you. I just real quick before we sign off, I just
yes,
want to
sir.
thank you. I want to thank you guys for everything that you've done for me. You guys have truly been such an incredible, pivotal, pivotal group of people in my life. And I know I've taken a little step back. Obviously, we haven't talked really too much since then, but I really do hope and pray that the future we can continue to nourish and nurture a relationship and I use me as a tool to help the guys who are in school if they need somebody to contact, if they need somebody to confide in, whatever it may be.
Will
Just
do.
use me as a tool. I would really appreciate it.
Hey, I think I've got a hook for you. We just opened. You're not going to believe this. I don't know why this didn't come up earlier. We just opened a 4,000 square foot gym for our students, 24 hours a day,
Oh, don't
7
you
days a week.
worry. I saw. My eyes and my ears have been open, my
There you
friend.
go. There you go. Well, give your wife my love. God
Yes, sir.
bless your marriage coming up in January. I hope you guys, many blessings, many blessings. And I'm
Thanks,
excited to
sir.
see where the next chapter leads. You talk about that family and stuff. So
Yes, sir.
I'll be watching for sure.
Good, good.
All right. Well,
Not from
thanks for
too far
joining.
either.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's you've heard here with Dylan Lacey and Bobby on the KWI Podcast.